But yeah, I wanted to ask because yesterday I was on, J49er, and he's trying to run this argument that Iblis was the first Muslim, and he defines that a Muslim is one that submits to the will of Allah willingly and not by compulsion. So I say, in the Quran, Allah says that He created the heavens and the earth, and then say to them, "Come into existence willingly or by compulsion." And the heavens and earth answer back and say that they come in willingly. So he said, is that accurate for me to say that? First of all,
What accurate? I didn't get the question.
to say that the heavens and earth willingly submitted to the will of Allah.
Yeah, that's what the Quran says. If that's what you're referring to, the verse of the Quran.
Exactly. So now, because he's trying to run this argument that Iblis was the first Muslim,
Yeah, but
and I'm
based on
countering.
what? Based on what is
Yeah.
the argument?
So because Iblis before Adam was created, he was a true worshiper of God,
Yeah,
and
but who said that Iblis was the first thing created?
so that's him. He's saying that. I'm
Yeah, I know, but
countering.
what's the
Yeah,
evidence for it?
he didn't bring no it because Adam wasn't there, and the angels were not. They don't submit willingly because they can't go against the will of Allah. So because of that, he's deducting that into saying, you know, Iblis willingly submitted to the will of Allah before Adam was created.
Yeah,
So
where does
now
it
he's
say
saying,
that? Where does it say that Iblis was the first jinn?
right, right, yeah. So my answer was, the heavens and the earth before Iblis, they submitted to the will of Allah. Is that a accurate statement for me to say?
About the heavens and the earth? I already answered that, dude.
Right,
But my point to you is, I think you're going about it the wrong way. What is
okay,
the evidence that Iblis was the first jinn?
right,
What's the argument? There is none. So end of discussion.
right, right. Also, he said,
And did you know
"Oh,
that? Did you know that many early scholars actually believed that Iblis was an angel? Do you know that?
I did not know that one. I thought
Oh,
Christians believed that."
no. Many early scholars, Mufassirin, believed that the jinn were a tribe of angels. They're a type of angels. They're not completely distinct creatures. All of this is wrapped up in his line of argument and questioning, but you're not really studied on it. You're not really aware of it. I don't think it's a good idea to be talking to these guys.
No, I'm not saying that Iblis is an angel, whether or not. Now I'm asking the question: how do they come out and saying that if Allah already says that the
Because
angel?
the
Yeah.
apparent meaning of the text is that he's one of the angels. That's how many of them interpreted it.
For example, the bowing verse, bow to
Yeah, they're
Adam.
being
Allah
told
says,
to be
"Illa
humble.
Iblis."
Yeah, they're saying Allah is commanding the angels to bow down to Adam, and he's saying that all of them did except for Iblis. So, in virtue of that, many scholars concluded that Iblis was an angel.
Okay.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree or not. That's not the point. I'm simply saying that that's another way of discussing the topic.
Okay.
If you
Well,
look
so
at the
and then
early
also
scholars, the majority of them said that the jinn were a tribe of angels. They're not a distinct type of creature, distinct from angels.
yeah, and also I don't think Jay is even that deep. Like you got deeper into it. I think he's just trying to point out that Muslims believe Satan is a Muslim. So he's not really being genuine in his argument.
No, but
So
he's trying to say that Satan was the first Muslim. He's trying to
right,
say that
exactly.
Satan was the first Muslim. And I'm saying, let's say that the jinn are a distinct creation from angels. What evidence does he have from the Quran or Sunnah that Iblis was the first jinn? What's the argument?
He doesn't have any.
Right. So then that's the end of the story. So why are you even pressing further? That's the end.
You're right.
49er, what's up?
Will Jake do this?
Your mic's cutting out. What'd you say? Jay, you there?
Jay gonna tell us how many gods he has?
I can't hear him. Jay, I think Cat's got his tongue. Oh, he says second. No. Yep, you gotta take your mouth off the pipe, man. Can't speak with your mouth on the pipe. Let's go.
Just wonder how Jay counts gods.
So, Jake, you gonna do the Islamic dilemma or just your metaphysics stuff?
It's gonna ask you how you count gods.
Hey, Jake, you got baked by Nick, dude. I'm not even. Metaphysics is not something I do. I dabble in it here and there. You want to do Islamic dilemma, or you just one trick pony? Bro?
I got baked by Nick. Let's talk about it.
Embarrassingly.
How did that happen?
I'm not interested. No, not interested. You gonna do the Islamic dilemma?
Is it because you can't show me how you only believe in one God?
Great. I know you're a one-trick pony, bro. You want to do the Islamic
No, I'm
dilemma?
not a one-trick pony, dude. I can talk about how you believe Satan was Jesus was a ransom to Satan too.
Great. Satan was the first Muslim too, by the way. So you should be very happy with
Let's
him.
talk
anyways.
about that.
Right.
Let's talk about how Satan was the first Muslim. You want to talk about that?
Oh, okay, sure, no problem.
Let's go.
No
So
problem.
how about we talk about that?
So do. Okay,
Hold on a
let's talk
second.
about that.
Jay, yeah, stop interrupting me. How about we talk about whether or not Satan was the first Muslim, right? And then after that, you explain to me how you count gods. How's that go? What do you think?
I'm not interested in that. Like I said, metaphysics at that deep level, I don't do it. But
No, but you
I
can't
will.
tell me
I
how
will
you
tell you.
count?
I will tell you how we count it. But I will go into a little bit of it. But I'm not going to go into debate with
Okay,
you
so
on this.
we'll
I'm
do
telling
the-
you.
we'll do
I'm
the-
not.
we'll do
I'm not
the-
a. I'm not a. That is not my forte. I dabble
don't
in
know how
it.
to
I
count
like
to
it.
three
I
gods,
find it
right?
intellectually bro, why are you talking over me?
Is it you don't know
You
how to
ask
count
me a
to three?
question. You ask me a question, and then you start talking.
But you're
over me.
rambling,
You ask
dude.
me not
You're
to speak
rambling.
over you. Okay. So
You're rambling.
you asked me a question, right? All right. I'll do this. I'll let you speak. When you finish, you let me speak. Go.
You
Give your
already
soft toss.
agreed.
Go.
You already agreed to the format. The format is we are going to discuss whether or not Satan was the first Muslim, and then after that, I'm going to ask you about how you count gods, and you can answer as little or as much as you want, but that'll become clear. How about that?
Right. I'll just give you my understanding of how we count gods, and I'll finish with that. I will not engage with you on it because I don't do metaphysics at that level. I said I dabble in it. I find it intellectually stimulating on it. That's not my forte. But the Islamic dilemma, if you want to sit down and do that, or we can do Satan was the first Muslim.
Yeah, we're doing Satan was the first Muslim because you just made that claim. So what's the argument?
Right. So let me ask you, if anyone is up in heaven with Allah, does that person have to be a Muslim, or can a non-Muslim be hanging around with, in your paradise with Allah? Or
Jay, this
with
is
Allah,
what's going to
but
happen.
more so.
You made a claim, so just make your argument. Don't ask me questions.
I'm going
make
through.
your argument.
What do you mean? You don't ask questions when you do your metaphysics stuff?
Dude,
how weird is this?
You made a claim. Give me
right.
the argument.
So
for
I'm
Satan
giving you
being
the
first
argument,
Muslim.
but okay. So Jay, you don't want to do this? Let me know, bro. It's going to have some questions.
Give me the
argument.
I'll build on the. Formulate the argument.
I'm building. I will. Just like you, don't come out with the argument. You sit down. How do you count it? You have
Father's
10 questions.
God, Son's God, Holy
and everything.
Spirit's God. They're not each other. Right. The normal way in which we count would be them being three gods.
Great. And then you ask people to prove it, and they dispute.
Okay,
go back and forth, right?
What's the argument?
So the argument is Satan is the first Muslim. Iblis
That's
is
not
the
an
first
argument.
Muslim.
That's a claim,
right? So
That's a
it's
claim.
simple
That's
as
not an
that. So
argument. Give me the
do
argument.
you want to do you want to run? Do you want to just go a couple of back and forths on that questions? Is that okay with you?
Jay, I just want you to give me the argument for your claim. You're making a claim. What's the argument?
Jake, I'm going to ask you a couple of foundation questions, and then I'll give you the
No, I'm
argument.
not.
Is a
I'm
couple of
going to
questions
ask you
okay?
to provide the argument. You
Man,
made
you're a one-trick
claim.
pony,
What's
bro.
the argument?
You're a one-trick pony. You're a one-trick
Dude,
pony, bro. That's why
you can't even give your
you're a
own
one-trick
argument.
pony, bro. 2 questions will sit down and hurt you enough so that I can't. You can't even ask, let
give
me
your own
Why do you invite
argument,
people?
Jay.
Why
You're
did you
weak,
send me
dude.
7 invites? Why did you send me
Because
7 invites
you made a
for you
claim.
to cry about
What's
2
your
questions?
argument for the
You're
claim?
crying. I will come to it, but I need a couple of
You
foundation
will come
questions.
to it, so you need
What's
me to
the
hold
big
your
deal?
hand? You need me to hold your hand?
What's the big deal for 2 questions?
You need me to hold your hand, Jay?
You're not holding diddly squat. I'm just establishing
Okay, then give
where
me
you're,
the
whether you
argument
agree
for
or
your
not.
claim.
Okay, so as simple as that, right?
Give
So
me
if you
your
can't do 2,
arguments.
hey guys, this is the one-trick pony you guys think is the big man.
One-trick
Already got
pony,
himself
dude. You made a
embarrassed by
claim and you
Nick.
can't even
He
give
got
an
himself
argument for your
embarrassed by
claim.
Nick. He can't
You
take 2
can't-
questions from me.
Jay,
You
we
can't
can
take
talk
2 questions
about
from
all
me.
of your claims.
He can't take 2
Once you
questions.
give your argument for your claim. How about that?
Bro, 2 questions. That's it. And then I'll give you my
you
argument.
can't provide an argument, right?
Look at that, guys. He's afraid of 2 questions. And you guys think this is your hot guy, dude. You guys think this is a hot guy, guys. Okay, 2 questions.
Look at that. Jay's afraid. Jay's afraid to provide an argument.
One-trick pony, bro. You're a one-trick pony who got smashed by Nick, dude.
You're not
You
even
know
a
that? Why did
one-trick pony.
you got
You're a
smashed by
nothing
Nick, dude? You embarrassed the hell out of yourself.
Okay, so give me
is
the
that what you're
argument.
gonna say?
Jay?
Yeah, the
Can you
argument
tell him
is
how
you're
he
one
got
trick pony, bro.
smashed? Yeah, tell us how he got smashed.
So now,
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, he got what? I don't want to go into those details of
you
99
don't wanna
ontologies,
all you
not
wanna
knowing
do-
it, not knowing
all
the
you wanna
not
do-
knowing the
hold on,
difference
speaking
between
Muslim.
real
All he
and
wants
formal
to do is make
distinctions.
claims,
Did not
but he
know
doesn't
if he
wanna
was,
back up his
you know,
claims.
if he was.
All Jay wants to do is make claims, but he doesn't want to back up his
Look at
claims.
that. Look at
You
look at-
made
look
a
at that.
claim
Look at
that Satan was
So,
the first Muslim,
bro.
but you're afraid to give an argument.
I've
for
got a foundation. Everybody knows in a debate you're allowed. It's not like I'm creating some
There
new
is no
rules out
debate.
here. Everybody
You made a
knows.
claim.
Everybody
You made
knows.
a claim.
Listen,
You made a claim. You are supposed to provide an argument for your claim.
you're such a whiner, dude. You're a whiner,
you're
dude. You're
such
trying
a
to.
whiner,
Yeah,
dude.
you know, you think in a debate people don't ask questions. This is
not
how
a
ridiculous
debate.
this guy
This
is, dude.
you who made a
You know what?
claim, and now
Why are
you're
you
being
inviting me
asked
up
to
here?
provide an argument for your claim.
So
You
here's
can't.
it, guys in chat. Okay, chat. He invited me up 7 times to cry over 2 questions.
49er can't provide an argument for his claim. You're so weak, dude. You're pathetic. You are refusing to provide an argument
One
because
trick pony.
you know once you provide your argument, you're going to get baked, dude. That's why. That's why. So Jay,
Yeah, thanks for muting me.
Admit to me that you can't make your
For
argument.
muting me, bro. I
Speaking
think
Muslim,
next time when you want to
stop muting him, dude. Jay,
All right.
admit
Thanks
to
for
me.
inviting me up 7 times, Jay. And
Jay,
the 2 questions telling me that I cannot build
will
on
answer
it.
your 2 questions. I will answer your 2
Good. So
questions.
now, all right, great.
I
So
will
question number 1.
Shut up. I will
Don't-
answer
don't
your
talk
2
to me that way, bro.
questions.
You don't know who I
will
am. Don't talk
answer
to me
your
that
2
way, okay?
questions, Jay. Once
Okay.
you admit
All right, then
that
answer it. Stop whining.
Shut up. I will answer
You shut
your
up.
2 questions once you admit to me that you can't make your argument without asking me those 2 questions. Go ahead and admit that.
Great. Once you admit that you got your ass baked by Nick, you're a one-trick pony.
I'm
I will
happy
then
to
tell you the
discuss
argument.
that, but you keep making
No,
the
no,
claim.
no. Once you say you're a one-trick pony, then I'll sit down and do that.
Every time I ask you to defend the
Bro,
claim,
what a waste of
you
time. This
refuse
guy
to
invites
do
me
it.
up 7 times.
You refuse
Okay, I
to
refuse
do it.
7 times. And then he can't answer 2 questions. It's a debate. They're going to at least allow me to ask 2 questions. And then I will formulate my thing. Okay, look, one-trick pony, dude.
One-trick pony. You can't even provide an argument, and you can't admit that you can't provide an argument without asking me your 2 questions. You're afraid.
I mean, this guy sits down and says, like, this is the first time and when people come up to debate that asking a person a question, building on it, is like a big problem. No, you got to go to the argument first.
Asking you to
Because he
admit
knows
you can't give an
that
argument
Satan
without
is the
asking your
first
2
Muslim.
questions.
He's worried about it. I have to get you to answer 2 questions, and then I will make the argument. If you're not, thank you very much for
Okay,
your
go
time. You
ahead.
one-trick
Ask
pony.
your
You
2
ran.
questions,
That's it.
Jay, because you're unable to give the argument without
Great.
it.
Thank you. Very
Get it.
good.
Good.
Very
Now
good.
everybody
So
can
now,
see that. Go ahead and ask your 2
okay,
stupid
great.
argument
Go
questions.
ahead. Yeah. Okay, whatever. So, when you're with Allah in heaven, as I said, can you be a non-Muslim? Or only Muslims are with Allah in heaven?
Only Muslims make it to Jannah, paradise.
Very good. Very nice. And to be a Muslim, you must do it out of free will, i.e., you cannot be forced to submit and accept Allah as God. You must do it out of your free will. Yes or no?
Yes.
Great. So Iblis
Were
was
those your
the
2
first.
questions? Let's be clear. Were those your 2
Yep.
questions?
Yeah, I've got
Okay,
a
now-
couple more, but
now
I know you
you're
were
gonna
whining
make your
about it. So now
argument,
I'll
right?
give you the argument. I'll give you the argument because you're whining too much.
Give it
Okay.
to me.
Yeah. So now the argument is that the angels were created to submit to Allah, and so they are not really Muslims. But Iblis, who came before the angels and before Adam, was with Allah in heaven, and Iblis submitted to Allah before he disobeyed him. That makes Iblis the first Muslim.
Okay, Jay, now I see you're going to mute your mic, right? Because I muted when you were talking. So mute your mic.
Yeah, I won't talk when you talk. You can go ahead.
Okay, good.
I can mute, no problem.
So the argument you just made is not only not sound, it's not even logically valid because it does not at all follow from the premises you gave. You made the claim that Iblis or the Shaitan is the first Muslim because the jinn were supposedly created before Adam. You also claimed that jinn were created before angels. You gave no argument or evidence for that. And then you said that, even if we granted for the sake of argument that jinn were created before angels, what is your argument that Satan was the first jinn?
So he did not pay attention to anything, guys. This is the guy you bring as your top guy. I made it very clear that I asked him, I said, to be a Muslim, you must do it out of your own free will. And he said, yes, you cannot be forced to submit to Allah and thereby be called a Muslim. And he said, yes. So that means angels are out because angels were created to submit to, one second, sorry, let me be on.
Watch, J49er is going to short circuit here in just a couple minutes.
Sorry. Anyways, so as I said, so the angels are out of it, right? And Iblis was the first jinn, and Adam came much later, right? And Iblis, as I said, was with Allah in heaven, according to you guys, and he did obey Allah before he disobeyed him. So that makes him a person in heaven with Allah as a Muslim. You had already agreed with that too. And he wasn't forced. He did it out of his free will. He submitted to Allah. That makes him, Satan makes the first Muslim.
You done,
Go
Jay?
ahead. Yeah, hopefully this time you paid attention to it.
I paid attention. Hopefully this time you pay attention. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What is your argument that Iblis was the first jinn? Don't give me the same ramblings that you just gave for the past 2 rounds. Answer the question. What is the argument or evidence that you have from the Quran or Sunnah that explicitly states that Iblis was the first jinn ever created by Allah? Go ahead.
So wasn't he the chief of the jinns?
I asked you a question and now you're responding with a question. Do you not
I'm
have
asking
an
that.
answer?
Yeah, I'm asking you the question. So what was Iblis
Jay,
created before
I
Adam?
asked you a question, dude.
Was
Don't
Iblis
make
created?
it difficult.
Okay, was Iblis created before Adam?
Jay,
That nervous
I
laughter
asked
is not
you a
going to help you,
question
dude.
and you're responding with a question, dude. Is this a
Right,
conversation?
my
Or
claim.
is this just like you
So
don't
so
answer
so
any
here it
questions?
is. Here it is. Iblis was created before Adam. Iblis was the chief of your among your jinns, and he was the first created
Where does it
being
say
out there.
that, other than you
In
claiming
your
that?
so where does it say that Iblis was the first one created?
Where does it say that Iblis was the first jinn created by
Right.
Allah?
Okay, so it says in your 15:26 to 31, and we certainly created a man out of clay from an altered black mud, and the jinn we created before from scorching fire. Okay, you have that. Iblis is also identified as jinn in your 1850 and mentioned when we said to the angel, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from the command of his Lord. So in that Iblis is created before man, created before Adam,
Yep.
and he is the first Muslim. And angels cannot
No.
be
No, you just
cannot
jumped.
be
You
Muslim.
just jumped, Jay.
So there you
You
go.
just jumped.
What?
You just jumped.
What did I jump?
You
What
just
did I jump?
showed two verses. You showed a verse from chapter
Well, you
15.
asked me.
Let me
Wait, didn't you ask me to
finish now, Jay?
Go
Let
ahead.
me finish.
Go ahead.
You just gave two verses. I don't know why you're laughing, dude, because you're about to be barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
You
You
just
talk too
gave
much
two
rhetoric.
verses.
So far, you've just been asking me to show you stuff. You don't even know your
and
own
guess
theology
what?
that
And
Iblis
so far
was first.
you failed, dude, because you're a one-trick pony. But you met somebody that you
Don't
didn't
use,
know.
hey man, use your own comebacks,
Dude,
Don't borrow from mine.
you're a one-trick pony. You know what your trick is? You talk to
Yeah.
ignoramuses. You don't deal with people
Bro.
like me. There's levels to this shit, son. There's levels to this.
Bro.
You're not ready.
Bro.
You're not ready, bro.
Stop your rhetoric.
You're not
Stop your
ready,
rhetoric.
so just
You're
pipe
nervous
down.
right now. You're not addressing what I'm
I'm
saying.
not nervous at all. I'm not nervous at
All
all,
you've
dude.
done is trying to attack me personally. You're this, you're one
I'm
trick,
not-
you're this,
I'm not
you're,
nervous at
your
all,
son
dude. You're
and
getting
everything
big.
else. This is
You're
what
getting
happens,
big.
guys. When the muzzies have no answer, they will attack
Jay,
you.
What happens is when I talk,
Answer-
you
hey,
interrupt.
hey,
when I talk, you
hey,
interrupt.
go ahead and answer,
when
dude.
you talk,
Stop-
when you talk,
stop
I'm
attacking me
quiet.
then.
That's what happens.
So
that's what happens.
But stop attacking
so just
me.
be quiet and just be quiet and let me address what you said. You
He's
read
thinking now.
two
He's thinking like,
verses.
shit, how do I get out of this?
You read two verses from the Jay. Are you gonna be quiet, dude? Are you gonna
Okay,
be
go
quiet?
ahead. Go ahead.
All we hear is you cackling like a little girl. Now, let me finish. You read two verses. You read a verse from chapter 15, which says that the jinn were created before mankind. Yes, that's true. You also produced a verse from chapter 18, which says that Iblis was of the jinn. What follows from that? That jinn were created before mankind, and Iblis was one of those jinn that was created before Adam alayhi salam. Now I'm asking you the same question, which you failed to provide an answer to. What is the argument that Iblis was the first jinn created by Allah?
Iblis is the chief of the jinns. He's called the chief of the jinns, and the chief of the jinn will always be created first before it.
Argument for that.
Now, if you want to refute it, go show to me that he wasn't the first jinn created. That's as simple as that. Okay. So if you want to say there was another jinn created before him, refute it. He's known in your theology as the first of the jinn. Guys, this guy's big, dude. He doesn't know this. One trick pony doesn't know this. By the way, Dean Response and Anas already agreed that Iblis was the first Muslim.
You know
Your
why?
other boys have already agreed to it
why?
because your one trick pony ass doesn't even know this, your own theology. All you keep on doing, one count, two count,
why
three
don't
count,
you
four.
help?
One count, two count, three count.
Jay,
I'm talking. What are you talking
Jay.
now? It's my time. It's my time. It's my time. I haven't finished.
Go ahead, Jay.
I haven't finished.
I'll wait for you.
I haven't
Don't
finished,
worry.
okay? So that's what I'm saying, guys. This is not like, I know this guy's a one-trick pony, right? I called him a one-trick pony first, right? He's all about one count, two count, three count chickens. That's all he keeps on doing, right? And so he had no idea. Everybody of your guys, your other guys who are more knowledgeable, they sat down and said, yep, he is the first. So what? That their answer is so what? You didn't even know this. Now you're going to go on and on in a circle and try to make sure that your boys who have sat down and said, yes, Iblis is the first Muslim, were wrong. Now go ahead, I'm clipping this whole thing. And then I'll have Dean respond on that question, and then I'll have your response on it.
Couldn't
Go
care
ahead.
less, dude. It doesn't matter
Go
to me.
ahead.
I don't care what
Go
Dean
ahead.
or anybody else you spoke to said. I'm gonna ask you again because you failed now 3 times. You made the claim that Iblis was the first of the jinn. You have failed to provide an argument or evidence for that. The only thing that you've done is shown that Iblis is one of the jinn and that the jinn were created before Adam alayhi salam. You have not provided an evidence from the Quran wa Sunnah to show that Iblis was the first jinn created. What is consistent with the evidence you provided? Iblis was created before Adam, but there could also be another jinn that was created before Iblis. You have not given an argument to demonstrate that that is not possible. You said, Jake, you need to show me where the Quran or Hadith say that Iblis is not the first jinn. No, dude, you're giving an argument from silence. You're saying, based upon the fact that I can't show you that Iblis was not the first of jinn created, that means that he must be the first of jinn created. No, that's an argument from silence, dude. You are making an irrational, illogical argument because you have no proof to actually demonstrate that Iblis was the first of jinn created. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Don't give me evidence that jinn were created before human beings. Don't give me evidence that Iblis was a jinn. Show me that Iblis was the first of jinn created by Allah. If you can't do it, just admit that you can't and keep trying to hide behind Dean Responds and other people who are not here. Give me the evidence. We're all waiting.
I told you the evidence was what? I told you that he was the chief of the jinns. He was called the chief of the jinns. And so you always have the leader, and then you'll have all these other jinns who were created after him. He's been having too much of jinn and juice apparently in this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, if he wants to say, I'm just gonna have a good time with it. I'm telling you that my logic inference is this: Satan is the chief of the jinns. And so I'm going by, if you're the chief of the jinns, you're the first one. And then you have your army created underneath that. Okay? I've going to create an army of jinns underneath that. But if he wants to say there was some other jinn and Jews, maybe his name was there, who was the first Muslim, have at it. You have a jinn that is the first Muslim, not Adam as the first Muslim. You have Satan's minions, Iblis, Satan's minions, okay? Now, those are not nice guys, you know, Satan minions as the first jinn. So either which way, you're Satan or Satan minions, whichever one you want to take, I don't care about it. But I will stand by this one thing. He's the chief of the jinns. You go by there's something called inference, and not all argumentation to silence is bad. Okay, being the chief of the jinn, he was the first Muslim. That's what I'm basing it on. You can sit down and try to plow. Show me where the chief of the jinns is the first jinn. All right, so you show me who was first created among the jinns. Then, if you have an alternative, if you have to sit down and refute me, go show me that. As simple as that. Go.
Okay, so it's very clear Jay does not have an answer to the question. His whole argument is done. It's gone. It's out the window. He admitted that he was making an inference, which I'm saying is unjustified, and he's making an argument from silence, and he's asking me to provide him evidence for the claim that Iblis is not the first of the jinn. Guess what? I never made that claim. You made the claim that Iblis was undoubtedly the first of the jinn. You haven't been able to show that at all, other than claiming he is the chief of the jinn. You also didn't show anything for that claim, which I've never disputed, but you haven't provided evidence even for that. And even if we granted that Iblis is supposedly, quote unquote, the chief of the jinn, you're saying, oh, if he's the chief of the jinn, then he must be temporally the first jinn that was created by Allah. What is the argument for that? I can say that he's the chief of the jinn in another sense, that he had power and dominion over the other jinn, or that he was a leader of the jinn. Being a leader of the jinn does not mean that he must be temporally the first jinn created by Allah. You are admitting that you're making an inference from Iblis being created before Adam, then to saying that Iblis is chief of the jinn, then to saying that chief of the jinn must mean that he's the first one created temporally. You've given no argument whatsoever for that inference. Why? Because you don't have any at all. And I'm going to give you one last chance to show me that you do have evidence that Iblis is the first of the jinn. And then once you can't do that, then I'm going to move to something else, which is going to blow your mind.
I've heard my argument over and over again. Very simply. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Something's wrong with my. Why is it glitching? Hold on.
I'd like everybody to tap the live, please, so we can get this in the algorithm. We are
Did you
League
did you take the
C4.
comments off or something?
Yeah, I
Or is
did,
it
because I needed
glitched?
to tap the
Oh,
like
okay. I
button
thought
for the
that my
algorithm.
thing was.
Do you need the comments, Jay?
Right.
Is there a reason you need the comments?
No, I thought my thing glitched.
No,
Like
I
it
think you guys
started.
deserve. I think you guys deserve some likes and to go in the algorithm. Let's keep the convo going.
Right. So again, not all argumentation from silence is bad. My argumentation is a chief of the jinn, right, had to be the first, just like your Allah was the first created, right? And so he had to be the first. And based on that, if you want to sit down and say, no, they were his minions, some minion came before him. So Satan's minions came before him. So you've got Satan's minion as some guy out there as the first Muslim. I'm fine with that too. That's what I'm saying. Either which way, your claim that Adam is the first Muslim goes down the drain. Because guess what? He was created before Adam.
You done, Jay?
Of course.
Okay, so it's obvious that you don't actually have an answer to the question. You keep repeating the claim, but you've shown zero, absolutely zero evidence for your claim that Iblis is the first of the jinn. So there's really no need to even go any further, but I will entertain you for the sake of argument. What is your argument that the jinn are not part of the angels? What's your argument for that when the Quran says at the time when the angels are being commanded to bow down and prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, and it says that the angels, all of them did it except for Iblis. So what is your argument that the jinn or Iblis is not one of the angels?
So did the jinns have free will?
Jay, now you're asking me a question when I just asked you a question.
Yeah, come on, let's go back and forth, dude.
I
Why are you
just
so
asked you
dramatic,
a
dude?
question.
I'm asking a question. So wait, you can ask
a question, and now every single time,
okay.
notice,
bro, this guy is
single
such
time,
sus, dude.
Every
Bro, this is
single
supposed to be the big guy, dude.
Every
Okay.
single time.
Yeah. Here it is. Here it is. Okay.
Every single time that I ask you a question, you respond with a question. You never answer.
Not every
my
single
questions.
time. No, I'm just
Every
asking. I'm
single
building on it. So aren't jinns that have free will and angels don't?
What's your
Yes or
argument
no?
for that?
What do you mean? What's my argument? You agreed to it earlier
I
You
never
said
agreed to that.
angels have no free will. You're
What?
baked,
Show me
bro.
when I
You
said that
started this
angels don't
whole
have any
thing.
free will.
Because I asked you earlier. And I said, do angels have free will? And you said no. That
That
never happened. And I said,
Jay.
and I've been
Jay,
arguing
are
and
you
saying
okay,
the jinns
dude?
have free will.
Jay,
I've
are
been.
you
Oh, why are you
okay?
talking
That
over
never
me? Okay, you're
happened.
talking over me. You're talking over me now.
That
No,
never
you're talking.
happened, Jay.
Guys, watch this. I've got this. I got him baked, dude. I got him baked here. Okay. Remember,
Jay, you're
I've recorded
literally
this conversation.
saying
All
things
right.
that happened
Please
that
don't
didn't
talk over
happen.
me. Please don't talk over me. Please don't talk over me. Please don't talk
So
over
you
me.
don't want an
Okay?
answer to your
Guys,
question?
we started. We no. Now he's all desperate to answer. Right. So listen. When we started this entire debate, he told me, he gave it to me, I have it recorded, where he says the angels do not have free will.
That
And
never
I
happened.
also said,
Jay,
that listen,
Jay, how much you want that to never happen?
When your turn comes, you can talk. When your turn comes, you can talk. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got it recorded. I specifically
so do
said
we,
that,
dummy.
asked him that, and he said that, right? And then I said, hey, the jinn, being Iblis, he had free will. The jinns have free will, and he said, yeah. So what? So, I said, that's the basis of what I'm trying to make you the argument, that it could not have been angels. That could be the first Muslim. To be a first Muslim, we had established that you must have free will to sit down and choose Allah as God and not be forced into it. Now he's asking me, what is the difference? How do you know that the jinn, which are made up of different, also their makeup is different than angels anyways, but he's saying, how do you know if a jinn is not an angel? And I just told you, you told me that they aren't. One has free will, one doesn't, the other one doesn't. As simple as that. So now go ahead and give me more material for my clip, bro. Go.
Okay, good. Here's what we're going to do, Jay. If you can actually produce evidence for where I ever said, you claim that I said that angels do not have free will. In fact, you said you asked me that question. You said angels do not have free will, right, Jake? And you claim that I said yes, that you asked me that question, and I explicitly told you that angels do not have free will. Here's what we're going to do, Jay. I don't know how old you are, but it seems like your memory is failing you. If you're actually able to show that, I will never come on TikTok again. How about that?
Great. So what we're going to do is, he's going to look for a verbatim thing out there, but you will hear me sitting down and asking him a couple of things. I said, do you have to have free will to, you'd hear my argumentation. He hears it, okay? That you have to have free will to submit to God. And he says, yes. And I said, well, the angels don't have free will, right? And so only Iblis had the free will. You'll hear that conversation back and forth. And it's clear as day that he agrees with it. He never sits down and objects or anything at all. But now we're going to play his game to double it down. I'm going to ask him the same question. The angels don't have free will. They're created where they must submit to Allah. Are you telling me as a Muslim today that that is wrong? That is not a statement of fact.
I just want to interject for a second. Jay, you said you were recording this. So theoretically, you have it. So why wouldn't you just play it? Why do you have to try
Because
to
it's
ask me
screen
again?
recorded. Because it's screen recorded. I can't go back.
Don't
worry,
I have to
speaking.
stop it.
Don't worry,
and everything.
speaking. We
Okay.
got this.
Fair.
It's all good. Here, I am saying boldly again, Jay is making the claim that I affirmed. Pay attention to what he said earlier. He said, Jake, I asked you directly, do the angels have free will? And you said no, that Jake explicitly affirmed that the angels do not have free will. I will repeat once again, Mr. J49er, you can save your Christians a lot of trouble. You can keep me off of this app for good. Matter of fact, I'll delete my entire YouTube channel if you are able to show anything, even remotely resembling what you claim, that I ever said that angels do not have free will. Now, if you can't do it now and you can't do it afterwards, what I want you to do is to take just 1 week time out from TikTok. How about that? How about we make a deal? Because you are so delusional, you're so flabbergasted by my response that you weren't ready for, because there's levels to this that you weren't ready for this level. And you were not ready for this response, that you are so deluded, you're actually recalling things in your mind that never actually happened in this conversation. You're claiming that I ever said that angels do not have free will. I've never said that. So if you cannot produce that, then I want you to say here and now that you will admit that you lost this debate, you lost this discussion, and that your memory is failing you, and you should probably get off of this app. Are you willing to do that, Jay? We're all waiting.
Bro, this guy is the biggest sus, man. Not only talks like a sus man wearing a man's well, and you did, and show me this, and show me that. All throughout the conversation that we were having about Satan being the first Muslim, we established that you have to have free will. I established and I told him, I made the statement that angels don't have free will, and he never objected to it. We continued on to Satan. So now I'm asking him this. He wants to look for the verbatim thing. I'm challenging him, this sus Muslim, okay? God, bro, you gotta man up and talk like a man, dude, okay? That tone of yours, good Lord, okay?
Hey,
Do
you
angels
want to
have the
talk
free will?
after that squeak
Okay.
in your voice.
Do you
Dude,
want
you're
to
the
do
one
you
that
want
needs
to
to
do you
put
want
some
to do you
bass in
want
your
to?
voice.
Oh,
You
it's my
sound like
turn.
a
It's my
punk,
turn.
dude.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Don't talk over me. Okay. I let you say whatever you wanted to say about me. Okay. I kept quiet. So now you have to let me do the same. If you don't like it, don't attack me in that manner. I will never attack. I only retaliate. Okay.
Okay,
So
do the
now my
talking,
question
Jay.
comes
Do the
down to
talking.
this. Okay. Okay. So now my question comes down to this, guys. Okay. Watch what he's doing. He's trying to distract from the answer. Okay. And you'll see when I'll put the recording out, you will see if he's looking for a verbatim, you'll see me sitting down saying that the angels do not have free will and you must have free will. He doesn't disagree with it. Okay. We are having an entire conversation. Now he knows he's trapped. So he's going to sit down and now continue with this. No. Show me what I specifically said it. All right. If you think you didn't say it, right? I'm asking you right now. Do angels have free will? He won't answer. I said angels have no free will. He says, show me a separation between a jinn and an angel. And I said, jinns have free will. Angels have no free will. They're created and they have to submit to Allah. They have nothing else. In fact, guys, instead of me waiting on this guy to do this, he already knows he's fried, dude. 66:6. Remember earlier you asked me to bring Quran verses. I brought him Quran verses. You only brought me 2 verses. Okay. Well, how many verses do you want? Okay. So anyway, 66:6. The angels do not disobey Allah in what He commands them. And they do what they are commanded. Okay. This is not they do not choose to or anything else. It is an inherent condition. They cannot. Now, in his theology, he knows, well, he may not know it. As I said, he's a one-trick pony. Okay. But I will, when I put the response to this video, go in there and I'll get all the scholarship and I'll add all of that in there. Okay. To show that this guy doesn't know that jinns are different than angels. That's the question, by the way, Muslims in chat. He's asking me, he's challenging me on show me how the jinns are different than angels. Okay. So, yeah. Now, is 66:6, and do you agree that angels do not have free will while jinn have free will? That's my answer to you. Question to you. Answer it or do whatever you want to do with your time. I'm done on this on this part.
Yeah, you're done, and all you can do is ask me questions because you don't have any answers to my questions. You started this argument by making the claim that Iblis was the first jinn created. You failed to do that. You said, oh, but Jake, my argument is that the jinn were created before mankind. So what? So what? That doesn't matter at all. So were angels. That does not matter at all. And then you made the claim, oh, well, Iblis is called a chief of the jinn. What was the argument to show that supposed chief of the jinn means that Iblis must temporally be the first jinn created? You gave no argument for that at all. You said, Jake, you need to prove that Iblis wasn't the first jinn created. No, I don't. You made the claim. The burden of proof is on the one who makes the claim. You made the claim that Iblis was the first jinn created. You were not able to show that at all. Now you're going into, oh, Jake is so ignorant that he doesn't know that actually the jinn and angels are two completely different creatures. And he just read a verse from chapter 66, verse 6, which says that the angels do as they are commanded. And so what? Doesn't J49er believe that when he thinks he's going to make it to paradise, at this point, it doesn't look too good in his position since he's worshiping three gods? But doesn't he believe that he's going to have free will in paradise? I think Jay would say yes. We are going to have free will in paradise. Okay, well, are humans going to be able to sin in paradise, in heaven? Jay would have to say no. Oh, wow. So that's an example where humans can have free will and yet they don't sin. They actually do whatever they're commanded and they don't go against God's commands. So how is it the case that merely from claiming that angels do what they're commanded, that it necessarily follows from that what? That they couldn't possibly actually go against God's commands. The text does not say that at all, which Jay has failed to establish it. He's also completely ignorant of the Islamic tradition, where actually, and sadly many Muslims are as well, and that's why Jay doesn't know anything about this. And I hope he does some research afterwards so he stops using such a lame argument, that actually the majority of the early Mufassirin, or the early scholars of tafsir or exegesis of the Quran, actually believed that Iblis was an angel and that the jinn are actually a tribe of the angels. But Jay doesn't know that because he's a fool. He's taking these lame arguments from Google and Reddit, but he doesn't know the Islamic tradition. He doesn't know what Imam al-Tabari says about this issue. He has no idea. So you need to provide an argument, which you failed to do so. We're going to give you one or two more times for you to establish that Iblis was the first of the jinn. And I also want you to show that none of the early scholars of Islam in the Sunni tradition actually interpreted Iblis as one of the angels. Provide evidence and an argument for that. We're all waiting, Jay.
All right, guys, what you heard was a whole lot of gibberish, dude. He went into what the initial argument was and everything else. Never. It says in 66:6. Look at that. He starts with this shit, dude. Yeah, speaking Muslim, start with this shit. Every time I talk, that's what you do to Christians. You're known for this. That when it's our turn to talk, you will make the noisiest gifts. Go ahead, do it. Be like a child, dude. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is what your reputation is. You know that, right?
Jay.
The moment you want to protect your guy, you sit down and make all these loud gifts.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right, let's see. Let's see now. Maybe he needs some money. He's only making 30K, dude, in Morocco. He needs some money here. All right. So here we are saying that 66:6, which says the angels do not disobey Allah in what He commanded them, and they do what they are commanded. This is not, and I said this is not that they choose not to. This is an inherent condition. They cannot disobey. He's saying no, that's not right. By the way, Ibn Kathir on 66:6 says they're incapable of sin. Okay, Qurtubi says that the angels have no desire. I would put this all up on my clip, by the way. They have no desire except obedience. Ashari, the Sunni Creed founder, Al-Ashari, says angels do not possess choice. He calls it the Arabic word which I will butcher, I'm sure. It's called ikhtiyar. Okay, so they do not possess any choice. Okay, this man is now going to insist that the angels have a choice. If I have managed to do this to him and to you Muslims, where I now force you to change against your, nowhere in your Quran does it ever say they have any choice. In fact, Surah 16, 49, 50 says they do not show arrogance and they will do what they are commanded. They do what they are commanded. Okay, zero ability to, again, zero ability to resist, zero independent choice out there. Okay, so now the logical conclusion is this, right? If a being cannot disobey, then it does not have free will. The Quran says the angels cannot disobey, 66:6. Therefore, Islam teaches that angels have no free will. And this is why Iblis cannot be an angel, because he disobeyed. And Quran 18:50 states he was a jinn. Okay? So, free will means the ability to disobey. Quran 66 says angels cannot disobey. Therefore, angels have no free will. This is straightforward. Iblis disobeyed, so he's not an angel. He's cooked. But I'm going to show on my when I make the video on this guy here, right? To show that all you guys claim that this guy is supposed to be some high tier or whatever rubbish out there, dude. He's getting baked by the Christians out here. So thank you very much. I don't need to continue on and on. You will see my video on this. Now, you want to do the Islamic dilemma or you want to run from that?
All right, Jay, mute your mic. This is the final response
Yeah.
to you. This is the final burial because you just quoted Al-Qurtubi, but you have no idea what he actually says. So let's look. I'll actually give sources, right? Unlike Jay. It says Al-Qurtubi said in his tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah, the idea, this is a quote, the idea that he, speaking about Iblis, was one of the angels is the view of the majority. What does that say? Listen again. You mentioned Al-Qurtubi. Said in his tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah, the idea that he was one of the angels is the view of the majority. Wow, J49er, you're baked. You're a barbecue chicken, dude. You had no idea about that, but it's okay. I'm giving free lessons on TikTok. That's why Speaking Muslim is throwing me some coins, because he feels bad that I actually have to teach you this stuff. Okay? He says the idea that he was one of the angels is the view of the majority. Who's he referring to? Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Jurayj, Ibn al-Musayyib, Qatada, and others. It is the view which you also mentioned, al-Ash'ari, which Al-Qurtubi, who is an Ash'ari, says, no, it is the view chosen by Al-Sheikh Abul Hassan. And who he's referring to there? He's referring to Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari, and regarded as more correct by At-Tabari. Do you know who At-Tabari is, Jay? Do you know who that is? One of the greatest scholars of tafsir of our tradition. He views the position that Iblis was actually one of the angels. He views that as more correct. That's what Al-Qurtubi says about At-Tabari. And then he is mentioning a bunch of companions as well as their students. And he says, and it is the apparent meaning of the phrase, except Iblis in 1850. So what is that verse referring to? Which some scholars have actually interpreted. I'm going to show you that very quickly, since Jay is already buried. He has no idea about this difference of opinion amongst the scholars, and he had no idea that actually, as Al-Qurtubi said, the majority of our early scholars of tafsir actually interpreted this. Why? Because of this verse and others. It says in 1850, and mention when we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam, alayhi salam, and they prostrated except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from, i.e. disobeyed the command of his Lord. Then will you take him and his descendants as allies other than me, while they are enemies to you? Wretched it is for the wrongdoers as an exchange. So a lot of scholars actually understood this verse as saying that Iblis was one of the angels. Why? Because the command is to the angels to make sujood to Adam alayhi salam. And it says that all of the angels prostrated except for Iblis. So the apparent meaning of that is that Iblis is one of the angels and he's the only one that refused to actually prostrate. It also says that he was of the jinn. Now, how does that make sense? Well, the same scholars like At-Tabari and the other scholars that Al-Qurtubi mentioned, they understood the jinn a particular tribe of the angels. They're not completely separate and distinct creatures or creations. Now, I have not said what my personal position is. All I am doing is noting the ikhtilaf and the scholarly difference of opinion within our tradition. And I'm also showing Al-Qurtubi, who Jay quoted from, who explicitly says that the majority of scholars actually believe that Iblis was one of the angels. So you are baked, Jay. On top of that, and more fundamentally, you have been completely unable to show that Iblis was the first of jinn created. Even if I granted that Iblis is a jinn and that the jinn are a completely distinct creature from the angels, you have failed to show or demonstrate or even attempt to evidence that Iblis was definitively the first jinn created. Therefore, your whole argument about Iblis being the first Muslim is gone. It's completely out the window. Try better next time. Now we're going to move to your pagan three gods. Are you ready, Jay?
I've finished with my closing statement. I need to finish with my closing statement. Not you.
Hold on, Jay.
What do you mean you?
Hold on.
You don't get
You want
to.
the last word?
Yeah.
Okay, Jay, are you?
So,
Jay,
here's what he did.
Hold on a second.
Yes.
Hold on. Before you move on, Jake, are you cool with him taking the last word and then us moving on to LPT?
No, Jay can talk, and then I'm going to get the last word.
Okay, but then
Such a baby.
Jay had the first word, and I played his game, so I'm going to get the last word.
Okay, and then
So all right, I don't care.
But are we going to LPT?
This is all I gotta say.
Hold on, we're going to LPT.
No,
after,
we're not going to. I'm going to explain the counting thing. I'm going to explain
hold on,
how
Just
I
let
do the
him
counting
give his
thing,
final word, bro.
Right?
Just let him give his final word.
I'm just going to give the final thing. Look, notice, guys, what he did. He said the scholars said that they dispute whether Iblis was a jinn or an angel. What is the argument he's bringing to me? Listen to this. I know most of you guys out there, minions are, you guys don't have the comprehension level, but the Christians are there. Christians, check this out, what he did. The argument is are the angels different than jinns? Are angels different than jinns? In that, when I'm saying angels don't have free will, while jinns have free will. What he did was, he made a lot of song and dance in that manner he speaks, right? All that yapping he did, he kept on saying that I have a whole bit of scholars who say that that Iblis wasn't a jinn but an angel. That's not the argument that we're bringing in. We're saying, hey, do the angels have free will? Now, if you think Iblis is an angel, that's secondary. But I'm saying, look, he's a jinn, and jinns have, and he said, what's the difference between a jinn and an angel? All right. Then he said, there are a bunch of scholars who think one way and a bunch of scholars who think the other way. So it's scholar for scholar, whatever you want to sit down and do out there. But now I'm going to leave him with this and watch. You watch, if he's truthful, he'll tell you his position, because I've heard him before saying the position, okay? His position is that Iblis is a jinn and a jinn is not an angel. And that's the question he asked me. He says, what makes you think a jinn is not an angel? And I said, because they don't have free will. Now I'm going to ask him to answer those questions directly, so we have him on record. I bet you he won't, but I'm going to ask him. Number one, is Iblis a jinn? Number two, is is a jinn different than an angel? Number three, well, if he says number two, that's fine. If not, number three would be, is it true that angels have no free will? His position. And jinns have free will. That's it. Case closed. Let's see if he'll answer those three. I'll be betting that bet that he won't. And now for me to charge my phone.
Yeah, so Jay, in his final gasping, right, he wants to give me 3 questions in what's supposed to be my closing statement. How does this make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. I'm supposed to give my closing statement about what we've discussed this far, and Jay wants to try to give me 3 questions. Jay, it seems like you're unable to actually follow the argument. Your entire argument was premised on the claim that Iblis was the first jinn. I already played that game. I already granted the first part for the sake of argument that Iblis is one of the jinn, that the jinn are a distinct creation from angels, And then I asked you, even if that's true, you still were unable to prove that Iblis was the first of the jinn. Secondly, you made the claim that I said explicitly that the angels do not have free will. You said you asked me that, and I said, yeah, they don't have free will. I never made that claim at all. Thirdly, you also made the claim that Jake is ignorant. He is a one-trick pony. He has no idea about these topics. He has no idea that in Islam and in the Quran that the jinn and angels are distinct creations. He has no idea about that. No, it's actually Jay that's completely ignorant of the Islamic tradition, that there's difference of opinion, and actually the majority of early scholars actually believed that Iblis was one of the angels. Now, this was my closing statement. We are going to move on to Jay trying to prove to us that he doesn't believe in three gods. So Jay, explain to us how you count gods in the Trinity. Go ahead.